Lawrence fired me in front of 83 employees, accused me of stealing encrypted client files, and promised no cybersecurity company in America would ever hire me again. 3 weeks later, while he stood on stage bragging to a $50 million client, every screen in the building went black and a ransom demand appeared behind his head. Lawrence thought the attack would make him rich, until I opened the hidden audit trail he had forgotten existed. By midnight, the company was saved, federal investigators had his laptop, and the man who called me dumb was begging me not to reveal what else I knew. Before we begin, dear friends, please help me, your subscription is very valuable to me. Please subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. 6 months earlier, I walked into Black Ridge Cybersecurity carrying a $12 canvas bag and wearing a navy blazer I had bought secondhand. Nobody looking at me would have guessed what I had done before. That was intentional. My name is Elena Mercer. I was 32, quiet by nature, and exhausted by people who measured intelligence by job titles. For 8 years, I had worked behind names nobody outside cybersecurity would recognize. I had traced ransomware infrastructure across 3 continents, helped banks close vulnerabilities worth millions, and once found a flaw in payment software used by nearly 4,000 businesses. Then my father got sick. Everything changed. I left consulting, moved back to Virginia, and spent 14 months helping him through the final stretch of his life. After his funeral, I didn't want another prestigious position. I didn't want conferences, interviews, or people searching my name. I wanted ordinary. Blackridge advertised a data entry compliance position for $52,000 a year. I applied. The receptionist looked twice at my resume. Then Clara Bennett walked into the lobby. Clara was Blackridge's founder and majority owner. She was 56, silver-haired, and carried herself with the calm confidence of someone who never needed to announce her authority. She interviewed me herself. Halfway through, she stopped reading. "You're overqualified." "I know." "How overqualified?" I smiled. "Enough that I'd prefer you didn't ask." She studied me for several seconds. Then she laughed. Not mockingly. Curiously. "Fine. Everybody deserves privacy. But if I hire you, don't pretend you can't see a problem when you see one." That sentence was why I accepted. My desk was on the 7th floor, between payroll archives and compliance operations. The work was simple. Verify access logs. Reconcile security forms. Flag discrepancies. For the first 2 weeks, nobody bothered me. Then Lawrence Vail noticed me. Lawrence was director of infrastructure security. 41 years old. Italian leather shoes. A $9,800 rose gold watch. Cedar and bergamot cologne strong enough to arrive before he did. And an ego that needed an audience. The first time he stopped at my desk, he picked up one of my reports without asking. "You found this anomaly?" "Yes." He stared at the page. Then at me. Something changed in his face. Not admiration. Fear. Immediate, Lawrence tapped the report with one manicured finger. "This isn't an anomaly. It's normal synchronization noise." "It isn't." His eyes narrowed. I pointed to 3 timestamps. The same administrator credential authenticated from Virginia, Singapore, and Frankfurt within 11 minutes. Either someone invented teleportation, or the credential was copied. 2 analysts nearby stopped typing. Lawrence noticed. His smile hardened. Data entry clerks don't diagnose infrastructure. Then give the report to someone who does. He walked away without another word. The next morning, my access permissions were reduced. By Friday, Lawrence had reassigned half my work and started criticizing me during team meetings. Tiny things at first. A formatting choice. A spreadsheet column. A 5-minute delay caused by his own approval queue. I documented everything. dates, emails, ticket numbers, access changes. My father had taught me something useful when I was 16. Never argue with someone who is building a lie. Keep the receipts. 3 weeks later, Lawrence called me into conference room 4. Human Resources Representative Melissa Grant was already seated inside. On the table sat a printed security report. Lawrence folded his arms. Sensitive client data was copied from an internal repository Tuesday night using your credentials. I looked at the report. The login originated from workstation 7C14. Lawrence's floor. My workstation was 7A22. What exactly was copied? That's confidential. You're accusing me of stealing it. And I'm terminating you. Melissa shifted uncomfortably. I studied the authentication record again. There it was. A service token labeled BR Legacy 04. Old architecture. Deprecated authentication. And something else. The export happened 17 minutes after Lawrence had temporarily restored my elevated permissions. He had framed me badly. But deliberately. May I have a copy? Lawrence laughed. Absolutely not. Then please record that I requested one. His expression changed. Only slightly. Melissa wrote it down. Lawrence leaned closer. You should understand your position, Elena. Cybersecurity is a small world. Fight this, and every employer who calls me will hear exactly why you were fired. That was the moment anger disappeared. No tears. No shouting. Just icy clarity. He believed I was powerless because my badge said data entry. I stood. Thank you for explaining. He looked disappointed. He wanted panic. Instead, I collected my canvas bag and left. But Lawrence had overlooked one detail. Blackridge's compliance system automatically sent integrity receipts to an independent archive whenever privileged permissions changed. I had designed that archive. Not for Blackridge. For the vendor Blackridge had purchased it from 4 years earlier. I knew exactly what it recorded. And exactly where Lawrence's fingerprints would be. That evening, Clara called me. She sounded furious, but careful. Did you steal those files? No. A long silence followed. Can you prove it? Not yet. Lawrence says the evidence is conclusive. Then don't interfere. She inhaled sharply. Excuse me? If you trust me, let him believe he won. Clara understood faster than most people would have. What are you seeing? A pattern. I opened my personal notebook. 7 unusual permission changes. 4 unexplained exports. 2 dormant administrator accounts suddenly active. All connected, indirectly, to Lawrence. How bad? I don't know yet. That was true. Then I noticed another entry. A scheduled credential rotation had been secretly cancelled. The affected account controlled Blackridge's disaster recovery environment. My stomach tightened. Someone wasn't merely stealing data. Someone was preparing access for something much larger. Clara, I said, what major event is coming? Our Helix presentation. When? 3 weeks. Helix Global Bank. $50 million security contract. Suddenly, Lawrence's little frame-up made perfect sense. He hadn't fired me because I was inconvenient. He had fired me because I had noticed the door he was leaving open. I closed the notebook and stared at his name. For the first time, I understood his arrogance. He expected the company to suffer. He expected himself to profit. And he needed anyone recognizing his setup gone before the attack began. Say nothing, I told Clara. What are you going to do? I looked at the integrity receipt on my encrypted drive. Evidence was already waiting. I'm going to let Lawrence finish building the case against himself. 3 weeks later, Lawrence stood before Helix executives and promised Blackridge could withstand any attack. Then every screen went black. A ransom message appeared. $50 million in cryptocurrency. Engineers scrambled. Phones screamed. Lawrence performed panic beautifully. I entered through the lobby carrying my old canvas bag. Clara had authorized me as an independent incident consultant 30 minutes earlier. Lawrence saw me and froze. Get her out. Clara stepped between us. She's working for me. Inside the control room, I opened the recovery console. The attackers had encrypted production servers, but their access depended on BR Legacy 04. Lawrence's forgotten token. I revoked it. Then I triggered an isolated recovery image created before his credential tampering began. Systems returned one by one. Email. Authentication. Client portals. Database clusters. 11 minutes later, Blackridge was breathing again. But I wasn't finished. I projected the integrity archive onto the conference screen. Every privileged change carried a cryptographic timestamp. Lawrence had restored my permissions from his workstation. 17 minutes later, someone using his administrator token had copied the files under my identity. Then came the disaster recovery changes. The cancelled credential rotation. The offshore server connection. And finally, payment instructions connected to an account investigators could trace. Lawrence's face turned gray. She fabricated this. No, Clara said quietly. You did. 2 investigators waiting downstairs entered with company counsel. Lawrence backed toward the wall. This is insane. I opened one final record. His personal laptop had authenticated to the same command server used during the attack. The room became silent. For weeks, he had treated me like an idiot. Now 20 executives watched him understand exactly who I was. You were data entry, he whispered. I was trying to be. His arrogance collapsed. He began bargaining. He blamed contractors. Then engineers. Then unnamed criminals. Nobody listened. Investigators took his devices and escorted him away. The criminal case later uncovered attempted extortion, unauthorized access, evidence tampering, and financial conspiracy. Blackridge also pursued him for damages. His executive career disappeared with his security clearance and reputation. My termination was formally rescinded. Clara offered me the position of Chief Security Officer. Salary, $285,000. Equity, 1.2%. I accepted on one condition. Nobody at Blackridge would ever again be dismissed on one manager's accusation without independent forensic review. 6 months later, I moved into a quiet townhouse overlooking the Potomac. My father's photograph sits beside my desk. I still carry the $12 canvas bag. It reminds me that expensive watches, impressive titles, and loud voices reveal very little about competence. Lawrence believed humiliation made him powerful. All it really did was make him careless. And sometimes revenge doesn't require destroying someone. Sometimes you simply preserve the truth, remain silent, and let them destroy themselves. If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. Let me know in the comments what you would have done.